Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. I don't know what time you're going to be viewing this, but thank you for coming to the training for PST or the problem solving team. We're going to begin by pretty much going through the multi-tiered systems of support manual that was provided to me by Birmingham City Schools. I will provide a copy of this manual so that all the teachers and staff can have access. I'm going to try and make a brief overview of PST, what it is, and your part as teachers. So as we know, the school-wide systems for student success, or the RTI model, is to target academic and behavioral interventions for students. On Tier 1, we are using interventions that target 80 to 90% of our students. In Tier 2, our interventions are for some of our more high-risk students, targeting about 5 to 15% of our students. And then once we get into our Tier 3, which is about 1 to 5% of our students, that's when we're talking about students who need to be referred to our PST or our problem-solving team. Again, you will have a copy of this manual, so I'm not going to go through everything, but I do want to bring certain things to our attention. So this is the district timeline for when things are supposed to take place. As you can see, most of the things were supposed to take place back in September. During our first 9 weeks, we were supposed to submit documentation to our counselor, which is myself, or the PST team, based on the first 9-week data. And that's targeting students who may have been absent excessively, students who are not up to par academically, any student in which you have some type of concern, and the regular interventions that you're doing with the whole class are not really working for that student. Those are types of students that would need to be referred to the PST so that we can try to help them. So here are some things that we should be doing with all of our Tier 1 students. For instance, in the elementary level, looking at report cards and progress reports, attendance, discipline, social emotional learning data, and any other type of relevant classroom performance data. Same thing with our middle school. Again, you'll have a copy of this, but it does list some instructional strategies that you can use for all of your learners. Here, here's some red flags to think about before you're moving a student into the Tier 2 process. So if a student has history of moving from district to district, student has scored below proficiency level for multiple years, a student requires constant reteaching of content or consistent one-on-one assistance with individualized instruction. I know that it's hard right now to identify some of those students just because of the virtual setting, but you should have a good idea of students who are not meeting progress or are having more problems seemingly than other students. So again, our Tier 2 is just for some of our students who need a little bit more individualized, I wouldn't say individualized instruction, but a little bit more differentiated instruction to help them or help you meet their needs. If the Class 1 or the Tier 1 strategies are not being successful, then you can try some Tier 2 strategies. And here are some of those here, like using mnemonic devices, grouping them in certain ways. And again, you'll have a copy of this for your review. Just gonna scroll down so you can kind of reach. can read through that on your own. So now we're at our Tier 3 processes, which just reflects just a few students, or it should just be a few students. The main thing is that there is a PST referral, which I will show you in a little bit, but that's the first step in identifying these students, is to, download and fill out the referral and provide that to me so that we can get the PST team together to review everything. Our team would meet at least twice a month, and students remain in this tier 3 process from 8 to 12 weeks as we collect data and really figure out things for them. So it's not something you want to recommend for all students, because it would be a very tedious process. However, if a student is showing that they need additional interventions on top of the Tier 1 and Tier 2 process, you definitely want to refer them to the PST to receive the Tier 3 interventions. Again, you're going to have a copy of this manual, so I'm not going to go through all of these, but here's just some copies or some examples of elementary reading recommendations for Tier 3 and Tier 2 interventions. So it gives you the focus area and a description of what's going on. And then over here, it gives you some instructions and examples of what you can do. And again, you'll have a copy, so I'm not going to review this part, but I want you to be aware that it is there for you to help you. Same thing with elementary math for Tier 2 and Tier 3 students. They also have one for middle school and high school STEM. So this is the parent request for evaluation for special education and 504 services. I just want to reiterate that we are not trying to send all of our students, and give them a disability or, a 504. Before all of that happens, they need to be referred to the PST to gather documentation. Otherwise, there won't be enough information for a 504 or a special education referral to even stand. So if you're thinking that a student definitely needs 504 or special education services, please refer them to the PST so that we can try all of the strategies and interventions prior to having to refer them to special ed or the 504. This is just giving an example of the model. So, you first start by defining the student's performance profile. So what's going on with the student? We develop a plan, implement the plan, and then evaluate. And then it kind of just rolls around. Everything comes together. So again, just reviewing that Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 process through the framework. In Tier 1, this is what you should be doing for all students pretty much, looking at the class as a whole. In Tier 2, you bringing in the parents a little bit more, discussing problems and trying some different types of interventions. And then in Tier 3, it's more intense. It comes with a whole team of professionals, and we go from there. Here's some watch list criteria you can go to look for students who maybe need to be referred to the PST. So for elementary students, you're looking at students who may be retained, your lowest quartile students, 1 or 2 levels below on state assessments, reading at below grade levels, and so on. For the middle school, it's pretty much the same. Students in credit recovery are on here, or students who do not have records yet, history of tardiness, or things of that nature. So those are some things that we all can be looking for and trying to figure out who should be identified and referred to the PST. Just for teachers to review, an intervention is a specific academic or behavioral strategy that differs from activities occurring in the general classroom for all students. It's designed to provide at-risk students with necessary academic and behavioral supports, and it is research-based. An intervention is not just completing a form or giving an assessment or even changing a seat or, monitoring progress. Intervention is specific, research-based, and designed to help the student. Grade level meetings are different than PST meetings, although grade level meetings should be held prior to PST meetings so that you can bring all the data and information from your grade level meeting to the PST. And this is just an example of what might be discussed during a grade level meeting collaborative chat. So again, that's in here for your review. I'm not going to go through all this. Here are some behavior interventions and strategies that you all can try when working with your students. Here's some more that are specific for ADHD. And again, you should be trying these strategies and interventions prior to, the PST so that we can know and come together and figure out what's working and what's not working. Here's some disciplinary responses for classroom managed behaviors, which I don't think we have many of those being in a virtual setting, but they're still here, for your review. Here's some universal strategies for behavior and academics. So things for students who are off task or have difficulty starting assignments, not completing work, not keeping up with assignments or losing materials. I think these are some really good strategies, again, that you can use for all learners. Here's some where students trouble with spelling, students have trouble taking notes, trouble with written tasks. So it's very specific here on what you guys can do to help students in your classes. This is just the PST chairperson responsibilities. It's all me. You don't need to really worry about that in our checklist. So again, just showing that the universal screening should be done, student data is needed, and then the PST referral form is completed and submitted before, we begin all the other things. So here's a grade level meeting log that you can look at and use to collect and keep up with data. Here's a progress monitoring form for behavior. This is another form for behavior. They just put it in a different way in case, you like a different type of vibe or a different way of monitoring things or like a certain look. Here's one for academic interventions so that you can keep up with what you're doing and how it's working. Here's a behavior management form for the student and the parent to come together and do. Here's a progress monitoring form for academics. So as you can see, this manual has a lot of different resources for us as a team to help our students and for us to keep up with the documentation needed to move students where they need to move. So this form is important because in order to move a student to the PST process into Tier 3, we have to notify the parent that we're increasing the intervention of tiered support. So once the PST referral form is submitted to me, then we can submit this to the parent to get permission for us to start the problem-solving team to gather that data officially. This is the problem-solving team request form. So this form will be completed with the team, with the whole problem-solving team. But it gives you an idea of what types of information we would need from teachers as they observe the child in order to make good recommendations and select the appropriate interventions. This form goes to the parent for their background. So again, the team has a well-rounded understanding of the student at home and in the building or on virtual learning so that we can really come together and problem solve to create interventions and put them in place to help the student. So that pretty much concludes that part of the training. I do want to focus on this form for a second, because this form is to be done every 9 weeks in reading and math classes, and to be submitted to me, the PST chair. If this form is completed, then it would make it a lot easier to kind of identify what students may be in need of PST every 9 weeks. So just keep that in mind. This is something that should be done just for documentation and submitted to the PST. Here are some answers to some frequently asked questions about PST, or the multi-tiered support system, or systems of support. And that concludes the review of the manual. I did want to show you guys one more thing, and that is how you can actually work on these documents, being that they are electronic and we're all virtual right now. So let me see if I can exit out of here. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to go to my drive. I'm going to add from my computer, from the PST documents, we'll add the teacher. Let's see. The teacher intervention. No. Let's do the RTI grade distribution sheet that teachers would need to fill out. So we'll choose that. Once that opens on my computer, right here, I can select the document. As we know, it is a PDF, so I'm going to open the document with our DocHub PDF Sign and Edit app. And from here, I am able to work on this document in PDF form, but make it look nice and neat. So here I can add text. I can go down. Teacher's name is going to be Miss Bookman. If it looks kind of funky and you're like, why is it not in the line, you can move it down. My grade level for today, I'm going to be 8th grade. And this is the first 9 weeks. You can also edit the font. So if you did want it a little smaller, we could do that. Maybe making it 10 or 11. My subject area, I'll just put counseling because that's what I do. And so in my particular class, although I don't give students grades, I might have had 10 A's, 5 B's, 8 C's, 2 D's, and 2 F's. And so then I would have to figure out where at least 80% of my students successful or made an A, B, and C. I'll do the math really quickly just to see. So that's a total of 27 students. And of 27 students, 23 got an A, B, or C. So that is 85% of my students made an A, B, and C. And so here, you might not, you might want to put an X for yes, or you might even want to go up here and select one of these check tools or something and put that there for your yes. Go back to for our student name. So you can go ahead and, identify any student who made a D. So we have Sammy B, who made one of the Ds. I'm not creative right now. We got Sammy C, who made one of the, F's or another D. Sammy D and Peaches. I don't know. Peaches made one of the F's. So and then you would put their numerical grade, wherever it may be. And so on. One other thing I want to show you all before I completely just finish this is that this doc actually allows you to, or this app allows you to have parents sign or request signatures. There's no signature page or signature request on here, but I'm going to pretend as if this line here is a signature page just so I can show you. So you would go to sign and you have your own signatures. So if I wanted to go ahead and sign as myself, I could do here. That's my official signature for here. Or if you wanted to request signatures from others, say I'm gonna add myself just because. You can go to manage fields, and I now can go over here where it says signature field or even initial field. So I can click the signature field, prop it right there. That's where I want people to sign. And then here you can assign your field to someone. So I'm going to assign it to me and my email address, and that's basically done. And so now, if I needed a parent or something to sign this, I could email it to them by going to prepare sign request, send request, and I can see that my request has been sent. This actually gives you an in progress note, so you can see if the parent has even looked at the email or if they've started looking at signing something. So I found this to be very, very beneficial as far as keeping electronic records. You can also download, keep it in your Google Drive, or just download it to your computer in a PDF version. And you can also share or send. So you can send as an attachment or get a link so you can have other collaborators. Like if a team wanted to work on a certain document together, you can do that as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That pretty much concludes our PST training. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas.